Are you running a Pi node? If so, you probably think your machine is just silently validating transactions, contributing to the ledger's security. You think you're just accumulating Pi, waiting for the Open Mainnet. But what if I told you that this entire time, you've been sitting on a gold mine, a resource you haven't fully tapped? What if I told you that the 350,000 Pi nodes worldwide aren't just 350,000 guardians, but 350,000 pieces of a massive decentralized supercomputer? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're not talking about the price of Pi, we're not talking about KYC. We're talking about something much, much bigger. A concept the Pi core team has just pulled back the curtain on. A concept that could reshape an entire trillion-dollar industry. That is, decentralized cloud computing. And it all starts with a seemingly unrelated investment, a company called OpenMind. Part 1. The centralized giants and the thirst for AI. To understand what Pi is doing, we first have to understand the world we live in. Currently, almost the entire internet, from the websites you browse, the apps you use, to the movies you watch on Netflix, runs on the cloud. But the cloud isn't some intangible thing. It's massive, physical data centers, warehouses full of servers, and they are owned by a handful of giants. Look at these numbers. According to the latest reports from TechJury and Markets, the global cloud computing market is expected to reach a value of $943 billion in 2025 alone. That's larger than the GDP of many countries. And who controls this market? Just 3 companies: Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. They control about 2/3, that's 2/3, of the entire cloud infrastructure market. This is an extreme concentration of power and data. You and I, we are paying rent. Our data is in their hands. But that's just the beginning. Now we have a new thirst, one that's even more intense: artificial intelligence, or AI. AI models like GPT, Claude, or Sora aren't born smart. They must be trained. And this training process consumes a colossal amount of computational resources. Do you know the cost to train a large AI model? We're not talking a few $1,000s. We're talking millions, even tens of millions of dollars. AI companies have to rent GPU super servers, and the cost can be tens, even hundreds of dollars per hour for a cluster. For example, according to Amazon Bedrock's pricing, renting a high-end model like Claude 2.1 can cost up to $79 per hour. Small AI startups can't compete. Independent researchers can't keep up. Everyone has to turn to the big guys in the cloud. Power becomes even more concentrated. So what's the solution? How do we break this monopoly? The answer might be sitting right on your computer. The answer is the Pi network. Part 2. The Pi network's forgotten treasure. This is something that many people, even longtime pioneers, have misunderstood about the Pi node. Unlike Bitcoin, which requires miners to solve meaningless and extremely energy-intensive puzzles, proof of work, Pi network uses a different consensus algorithm. It's fundamentally based on the Stellar Consensus Protocol. I won't get deep into the technicals, but you just need to understand this. Pi's algorithm is extremely energy efficient. Validating transactions and securing the Pi ledger takes up only a tiny fraction of the total computing capacity of a computer running a node. So what happens to all the remaining power? With 350,000 active nodes globally, we have a massive distributed computer network. And most of the time, 90 to 95% of their processing power is idle. We have a collective multi-billion-dollar resource that is being wasted. It's like owning 350,000 cars, but only using them 10 minutes a day to go to the market. The rest of the time, they sit in the garage. The Pi core team saw this, and they asked a genius question. Why are we only using this network to secure Pi when we could use it to power the entire world? In the latest announcement, the Pi core team stated clearly, This collective computing capacity is a valuable resource that can enable new utilities on the node layer, such as decentralized cloud computing. This isn't a far-fetched idea. This concept already has a name, and it's the hottest trend in Web3. DePIN, which stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. What is DePIN? Simply put, it's the use of blockchain technology and tokens to incentivize people around the world to build and operate real-world infrastructure together. Let's look at an example, the Helium project. Helium incentivizes people to set up small Wi-Fi and 5G hotspots in their homes to create a global wireless network. In return, they receive tokens. To date, Helium has about 111,000 active hotspots. Another example is Filecoin or Arweave, which incentivize people to rent out their empty hard drive space to create a decentralized storage network, competing with Amazon S3. DePIN is the future. Even the World Economic Forum has to acknowledge this. A recent report from them predicts the DePIN market could reach a value of $3.5 trillion by 2028. Now, let's go back to Pi. Helium has 111,000 hotspots. Pi Network has over 350,000 active nodes. Do you see what I mean? Right at this moment, Pi Network already possesses one of the largest potential DePIN networks on the planet, 3 times larger than Helium. And we haven't even started. This network isn't just for storage, like Filecoin, or broadcasting, like Helium. Pi's network can do something much more complex, computation, and that's where OpenMind comes in. Part 3. The first investment. Android for robots. People have been very curious about Pi Network Ventures, the Pi Core team's venture capital fund, and their first investment wasn't an exchange, a wallet, or an NFT game. Their first investment was in OpenMind. So what is OpenMind? They describe themselves as a company developing an open-source operating system and protocol for robots to think, learn, and work together. In simple terms, they are building an android for robots. OpenMind's vision is to create a shared intelligence layer. Instead of each robot having to learn from scratch, they can connect to this network, learn from the collective experience of millions of other robots, and share their own knowledge. This is a collective, decentralized learning ecosystem. Do you see the connection? OpenMind is building a massive collective AI system. Pi Network has a massive decentralized computing network that is idle. One side needs computing power, the other side has computing power. This is not a random investment. This is a perfect strategic move. And it's no longer theoretical. They've proven it. Pi Network and OpenMind collaborated and completed a proof-of-concept project. What did they do? They had volunteer Pi node operators run image recognition AI models for OpenMind. And the result? It worked. This is the aha moment for the entire ecosystem. For the first time, a Pi node were used for a purpose beyond securing the Pi ledger. It was used to run complex AI tasks for a third-party organization. This experiment proved one thing. Pi's network of 350,000 nodes is fully capable of supporting decentralized computation and AI training tasks. This is a foundational-level utility. So what does this mean for you, a node operator? It means that in the future, you could have 2 income streams from running a node, not just one. Mining rewards, this is the reward you currently receive for helping to secure the Pi ledger. Compute rewards, this is an additional utility that you can opt into. Imagine this, Pi Network builds a marketplace. Sellers, the 350,000 and growing node operators like you can choose to rent out your unused computing power, CPU, GPU, RAM. Buyers, companies like OpenMind, AI developers, universities, researchers, anyone who needs computing power. The currency, what will the buyers pay the sellers with? With Pi. This is what we call real utility. When this happens, Pi is no longer just a coin to be mined and hoarded. It becomes a utility token to pay for a digital commodity that is in extremely high demand: computing power. AI companies around the world, instead of paying millions of dollars to Amazon or Google, can now access a decentralized computing network that is cheaper, more flexible, and more accessible. They will have to buy Pi on the open market to pay the node operators. This creates real, sustainable demand from outside the Pi ecosystem. It creates a closed-loop economic cycle. AI companies need computation, they buy Pi. They use Pi to pay node operators. Node operators receive Pi and can use that Pi to buy goods and services in the ecosystem or sell it to the next generation of AI companies. This vision can expand even further. The Pi core team hints at combining this compute layer with Pi's decentralized labor layer, tens of millions of users. AI developers can not only rent your computers, but they can also hire humans, pioneers, to train, label data, and provide feedback for AI, all within the same ecosystem and paid for in Pi. This is a perfect, self-contained environment. Part 5. The $10 trillion vision and the future of Pi. Decentralized cloud computing is just the first step. It's building the foundation. The foundation for something much, much larger: the global asset tokenization market. Analysts at Roland Berger predict the RWA, real-world asset, tokenization market will reach $10 trillion by 2030. Other forecasts, like from Catton, suggest it could hit $30 trillion by 2034. Let's use the most conservative number, $10 trillion. To tokenize real estate, stocks, bonds, or works of art, what do you need? You need a secure, decentralized blockchain. You need smart contracts to run the business logic. And most importantly, you need a place to store all the data, records, images, and legal documents for those assets. You also need the computing power to run complex smart contracts. You can't store the records for a $100 million building on a centralized Amazon server. If Amazon goes down, your asset is at risk. You need a decentralized cloud. Now do you see the full picture? The investment in OpenMind is not just an investment in AI. It is Pi Network's first step in building the fundamental computational infrastructure layer. Pi nodes are not just for calculating the ledger. They will be used for decentralized cloud storage and to provide decentralized computing power. This is a real business environment, creating momentum for a real productive force. When you have a powerful DePIN platform, computation, and storage, you can do everything. You can run complex DEXs. You can support Web3 social media applications like Fireside Forum. And you can become the platform to tokenize the $10 trillion real-world asset market. This is when Pi stops competing with small-time crypto projects. This is when Pi places itself in direct competition with Amazon Web Services, with Google Cloud, with Microsoft Azure. Conclusion: whether you believe in this vision or not is entirely up to you. Pi Network Ventures investing in OpenMind doesn't mean it will be 100% successful. There are always risks. But this vision is very real. The pieces are being put in the right places. The statistics about the cloud market, $943 billion, the DePIN market, $3.5 trillion, and the RWA market, $10 trillion, are real. Pi Network is no longer just a counting app on a phone. It is silently building a heavy-duty weapon, a network of 350,000 nodes, a global supercomputer ready to rent out its power in exchange for Pi. This is a revolution in how we use computing resources, and it is just beginning. What do you think of this strategy? Can Pi truly become a competitor to Amazon in the decentralized cloud space? Or is this just a dream that's too big? Leave your comments below. And don't forget to follow the Pi From Us channel so you don't miss any in-depth analysis of the Pi Network project that no one else is telling you. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.